Welcome to our presentation, Media Optimization in Domo, Where to Spend Your Next Dollar. My name is Heather Reed, Chief Experience Officer for RxA, and I'm thrilled to be part of Domopalooza 2021. I'm joined by Jonathan Prattner, Chief Analytics Officer and co-founder of RxA, and Tom Thomas, Vice President of Data Strategy, Analytics, and Business Intelligence at Ford Direct. Tom and his team have partnered with RxA over the last couple of years to help Ford Direct guide dealers on how to optimize media dollars to generate leads. Today we'll talk about that work and how RxA leverages our multi-touch media attribution and media mix modeling solutions along with Domo to aid Ford Direct to ultimately increase leads at the dealer level. We'll ensure you have 3 takeaways. 1, we'll show you how RxA and Domo solves the media optimization dilemma for Ford Direct by understanding the why behind media performance. 2, we'll show you how the solution provides the context, accuracy, and strategic insights that are needed. And 3, how RxA and Ford Direct use Domo to get that information into the decision maker's hands. Tom, please take it from here and help us understand who Ford Direct is and set the stage for the challenge you face in advising your dealers on media spend.
Okay, thank you, Heather, and hello, Domopalooza 2021. This is my second time presenting at Domopalooza, but first time virtually. So from my home office to yours, or maybe if you happen to be in an office, welcome. Today we're going to talk about, as Heather mentioned, digital marketing, multi-touch attribution, and media mix modeling, and how we're going to be applying that to automotive dealerships so that we can help them figure out where to spend their next advertising dollar. So a little bit about Ford Direct. We are a joint venture between Ford Motor Company and roughly 3,800 Ford and Lincoln dealerships across North America. We are the primary digital marketing solutions provider for the entire dealer network. So we offer a solution to the dealers for a majority of the digital shopping channels that customers use today for vehicle shopping and service. That includes a dealer website platform that's been launched to roughly 90% of the dealer body, a choice-based digital advertising program that offers paid search, social, display, and video media, a direct communications program that sends email and mail to owners on behalf of the dealers, a social media management and a reputation management service, and a variety of in-store dealer solutions like CRM systems and inventory management. And our strongest competitive advantage is the opportunity for the leadership among Ford Motor Company, the dealers, and third-party providers, agencies, and partners to collaborate and share strategy, data, technology, and financing to provide a compelling digital customer experience that helps Ford and Lincoln dealers sell and service vehicles and build a customer loyalty. And today's area of focus is on our advertising program that we launched just last year called Ford Direct Advantage. The program is a partnership between Ford Direct and 6 of what we consider the more prominent and sophisticated dealer agencies in the industry today. And together with Ford Direct's data platform and insights, we're able to target shoppers who are shopping on Ford.com and Lincoln.com, the Tier 2 portal of BuyFordNow.com, reach customers who are ready for service, help dealers eliminate advertising waste by suppressing communications to customers who are no longer in market. And it also gives the dealers a chance and the flexibility to choose between one of those 6 providers based upon their own unique strategies and scale, as well as switch between those agencies in the case that they might change their strategy or have any performance issues. So in terms of the situation with Ford Direct Advantage, I want to start out with, when you think of digital automotive marketing, what do you picture? And hopefully it's this nice family portrait of new Ford Broncos that we repurpose in display ads and website landing pages and in your social media news feeds. And of course, it's that all-important beginning of your shopping journey with your search for the local dealer. So where we think of digital advertising as that nice family portrait of Broncos, dealers see it as this complicated and expensive balancing act, where the average dealer in the U.S., regardless of brand or OEM, spends about $55,000 a month in advertising, which is roughly $640 per vehicle at retail. And if you think about that for the 3,800 Ford and Lincoln dealers, that's roughly $1 billion in advertising being targeted to customers at the dealer level. And if you combine that with Ford's $1 billion plus media spend in advertising at the brand level, you have over $2 billion in advertising being targeted to the same pool of automotive customers in the country. And so dealers are trying to balance, what's the right spend, what's the right effort put across each of the different marketing channels to maximize their advertising return on investment. So to strike that balance, dealers and their agencies are asking the following questions. How much should my digital advertising budget be per month, and how should that change from month to month? How should I spread that budget across search, social, display, and video paid media? How can we move beyond last click attribution, typically credited to search, to understand how much each of these channels is contributing to leads and sales? What's the right search keyword strategy to produce the best results, and which audiences are working well and with which digital publishers? And so I'm sure for those of you who are in the digital marketing and advertising field, regardless of industry, are excruciatingly aware of questions like this from your clients or your own CMO. And I'm sure you're also aware that to answer those questions, it's all about the data. The more you know about how the customer is shopping, how they're responding to your advertising and marketing, the more you're going to understand how that links to leads and sales, so that you can start to answer those questions and optimize the media spend. Now, unfortunately, when it comes to digital marketing, dealers and their agencies are victims of disconnected customer data. As most dealers outsource the technology for advertising, the data capture of the customer's response to their own marketing and advertising to a wide variety of agencies and partners. Everything from their CRM systems, website providers, direct communications, and social media management are typically spread across multiple businesses. And so the data about how these customers are behaving within each of these different channels is often trapped and hard to get to. And most dealerships don't have the expensive data lakes or the IT expertise to go to each of these different data sources, bring it all together so they have that more holistic view of the customer. So in terms of the advertising agencies, they also can't see customer shopping behavior outside their own analytics. So they'll obviously have tags on the media that they're serving and trafficking on behalf of the dealers. They'll also have tags on the websites or the dealer websites, so they can see that traffic related to the website activity that's happening, that's being driven from it. They can't see what the customer is doing on the vehicle lot. They can't see what's happening within the dealership itself. They also can't see that same customer shopping on Ford.com and Lincoln.com, and they often don't know the types of response from the email that those dealers also might be sending directly to owners. So this leads us to why agencies have a hard time answering those questions as well and solving this challenge for dealers. They lack the access to the non-advertising side of the customer journey, but they also lack the direct attribution of the customer's response. They can see within their own analytics to an actual vehicle sale or service transaction, either at all or in a timely fashion in order to continuously target the customer in an accurate fashion, as well as establish marketing ROI. Since the service and the sales data is typically held tight in the dealer's ERP systems, or what they call the dealer management systems. And then lastly, the agencies, even with the data that they do have access to, typically lack the expertise in data engineering and data science to construct the complicated models that could be applied to that data to figure out what's working well and what's not. So how's Ford Direct helping in the case of Advantage, to assist our 6 agency partners? And it really starts with Ford Direct's unique data advantage for marketing. Now, because Ford Direct, as I mentioned before, sits between the OEM, Ford Motor Company, the regional marketing efforts at Tier 2, and across all the dealerships. And we also provide a majority of the dealer's digital ecosystem through our product suite. That gives us sole access to a wide variety of customer data, and most of that's first party. So with that access, we have the ability to start stitching a customer journey together across those different data silos, where we can start to connect the shopping and the service activity at the dealership, the shopping activity on Ford.com and Lincoln.com, and most importantly, the customer behavior that we can see across that website platform that we have a strong penetration to, as well as the paid media channels that are being served through the Advantage program, as well as the majority of the mail and email response from owners. So with this more complete view of the customer journey data, our first objective at Ford Direct Analytics is to develop a model and a BI solution that offers multi-touch attribution and media mix insights for those 6 agency partners based on the customer's advertising response, eventually across the whole 3,800 dealers, so that we'll be able to effectively and accurately assign credit across the media channels, optimize media spend, better inform the search keyword bidding strategy, understand the customer pathing that leads to greater outcomes, and enhance the audiences via the modeling insights. So at this time, I'm going to turn it over to Heather, who's going to talk a little bit more about what RxA has to offer, as well as John's going to take a deeper dive into the modeling solution that we have put in place for Ford Direct and the BI visualization platform that we built in Domo. So Heather, take it away.
Let's talk about Domo and the RxA Advantage. RxA is a Domo strategic partner and has been named the Domo Innovative Partner of the Year, Rising Star Partner, and Best Application for Voice of Customer Experience. We are a growth marketing technology company fueled by data science and applied artificial intelligence. We believe all companies are data-driven, but few have meaningfully activated the benefits of a customer-centric growth marketing process. Through our growth marketing intelligence platform and solutions, we help attract, convert, retain, and grow the value of our clients' customers by isolating specific business problems and developing actionable, data-driven AI solutions to achieve prescribed results. We enable this capability by developing or supplementing organizational processes, putting the right BI and artificial intelligence solutions into place, and operationalizing our customers' data. Our customers typically realize gains in less than 30 days through an enhanced view of their customers that allows for more informed, disciplined, and faster decision-making. RxA has a suite of growth marketing solutions such as media mix modeling and multi-touch attribution, which we'll talk about in depth today, and our Voice of Customer Experience app that utilizes theme detection and sentiment scoring on social media data integrated with customer data. Using advanced analytics, RxA pinpoints the areas where you should focus to improve your customer relationships and in turn impacts the resources that matter most. All can be utilized in concert with our growth marketing intelligence platform, which is built on Domo. RxA's platform maximizes lifetime value by enabling you to create better experiences for and deeper and more meaningful relationships with your customers. We ingest your data, third-party data, public data, and our own data to enhance your single source of truth. RxA also provides custom solutions such as data integration, BI and analytics, and custom visualizations. So now that you've heard a bit about RxA, Jonathan will walk you through how RxA leveraged Domo and applied multi-touch media attribution and media mix modeling for Ford Direct.
Thank you, Heather. So as we went into this engagement to work with Ford Direct, not only did we need to come up with a unique solution that fit the media executions that they had, we also had to work to create a solution that helped overcome some common misconceptions that people have around Tier 3 marketing. Tier 3 referring to the dealerships, so that interaction between the dealerships and the customers themselves. And that's whereby bringing together a number of different models along with the Domo platform that allowed us not only to be able to build out these unique models that we're going to talk through, but also present them in a way that helped us overcome some of these misconceptions. The first of these is that dealer media isn't really measurable. It's only that brand media that's measurable. As Tom spoke about earlier, when we look at the combined spend of dealerships across the country, it's essentially the same size as the overall manufacturer themselves. And so that's something that by having this unique relationship that Ford Direct has with the dealers, we're able to combine the data from different dealerships so it's able to kind of break through and we're able to really see the impact that it has both on leads and sales. The second misconception is that Tier 3 media is really only focused around search and that you don't need multi-touch attribution or media mix modeling when you're looking at search terms only. But as we see, the kind of integration between the channels is where it drives a lot of success. The next point is that car sales can't be related to media spend because you can't buy a car online. A lot of people think of multi-touch attribution as something that will only work when you have media that relates directly to a sale. But given that integration of the data that Tom talked about earlier, we can see that we are able to kind of build out that individual user journey from their exposure to media, their interaction on the dealer's website, and ultimately to submitting a lead on that site and buying a vehicle. The final thing that we had to overcome was that dealers can't optimize their own spend because it's just too small. You can't spend at a level and understand the impact if you are not spending millions and millions of dollars a month. But the truth is that by looking across and seeing the distinction that we have across different dealership types, how they're spending, the size of those dealerships, we're able to uncover those relationships. So now I'm going to walk you through just a bit of kind of the conceptual models that helped us get to that before we get into the real fun, which is seeing how this comes alive in Domo. So when we think about multi-touch attribution, what we end up doing is creating a number of what-if scenarios around media. So we have individuals that would have seen advertisement A, B, and C, and then they made it to the dealer's website. Some of those users submitted leads and bought vehicles, others did not. But from that, we can compare what that conversion rate is for those consumers that saw ads A, B, and C with those consumers that may have only seen ads A and C, or they may have seen A, C, and B. So we're able to look at all of those combinations simultaneously and understand how they impact sales. The way that we employed this for Ford Direct was using Markov chain attribution. And this lets us look at each of that individual customer level attribution, which allows us to infer causation rather than just a mere correlation with this. And as we also see, as I just outlined in that example of just media points A, B, and C, that order and frequency of the touch points matters. So if we have an individual that saw a display ad, clicked on it, and then later performed a paid search activity versus someone who performed that paid search and then later saw a display ad, we're gonna look at how the order of that interaction and that individual user's journey relates to the sale. And another benefit of this is that it can scale to many channels. So we're focused on programmatic media here. And as Tom said, we're looking across 3 main channels. But when we think about, for instance, search, we don't have to look at that as just one uniform concept. We can look at that based on keyword strategy and break it down to many and many channels, which is something that the Markov approach allows us to do that other methods such as the Shapley values don't do quite as well. This allowed us to take a look and understand for the number of leads that were submitted, the number of sales associated with those leads, what the value for each of those media touch points did. So if we had that once again, A, B, and C, and we removed B, by looking at this across all consumers and all dealers, we're able to understand that value of B. So now we can get accurate reporting to each of the individual channels. But the next question becomes, how can we use that information to then determine how much we should spend? And that's where we brought in and took the results from that multi-touch attribution and brought it into media mix modeling. From the media mix modeling side, we used multiple adaptive regression splines or MARS models. And this allowed us to create bases functions where we could look at the different channels and see how they interacted between one another. We can also capture non-linearities within the data. So we can see, for instance, in kind of the chart that we have here, as we spend more or less on social, how does that impact the performance of search? Or likewise, if we're spending on social, how does our search strategy help us support those ads that we've seen, the interactions that we've had with consumers to ultimately bring them in and turn them into sales? And being that when dealers go to market, keywords and search is one of the main things that they use in order to reach consumers. So as people are looking for a dealership near me, or they're looking for the new Ford Ranger, as they're able to do that and look across that, we were able to take those search terms that they had and put that into a natural language processing entity detection model, where we're able to use a combination of custom dictionary mapping, that entity detection, and put it into a classification model. So we're able to actually take those individual search terms, group them together so that we can use them to create categories that can help inform a keyword strategy. So now that we've talked a little bit about how this conceptually works, we're going to transition into seeing how this works within Domo. So how we can take those concepts that we have, all of the data that Tom outlined that Ford Direct uniquely has access to, and bring it together into something that can provide useful insights to both the dealerships as well as the partners that are working on the media. And so now as we turn to Domo, we're going to see how RXA was able to deploy our media optimization solution for Ford Direct. So everything that we're going to walk through are, mocked up versions of what we saw, because obviously we don't want to bring any proprietary data in, but we're going to walk through that solution. And for those of you that aren't that familiar with the Domo platform, the first thing I want to showcase is just a little bit of kind of the behind the scenes and some of the tools that Domo offers to enable us to take these advanced modeling techniques and bring them into the platform that all users are looking at. So that way, as everyone looks at this data, they're seeing the same things, it's all contained within the environment, and everyone's able to work with it together. So the first tool that I want to speak about are the Jupyter workspaces. And so this is the data scientist dream, because in here we can access all of the abilities of both R and Python. We're able to use the data that we have in Domo. We're able to model with it. We're able to develop in an environment where data never has to leave the structure. It's all contained within Domo. We're able to build our models, run those multi-touch attribution Markov models, run those media mix Mars models, get the results out of here, and then output them back into Domo data sets. In addition to that, Domo also has the ability to take those results and actually bring them into the Magic ETL. So after we've been able to develop those within the Jupyter workspaces, we can drop them right into the Magic ETL. So now anytime that our data set is updated, it will automatically trigger the programs to run in order to use that estimation, provide the results, and get that into the business user's hands. And that's where I'm going to turn now, is taking a look at how this comes to life for the end user. So the first thing I'm going to walk through here is kind of the franchise overview dashboard. So let's imagine that you are part of Ford Direct's field team, and you are going to meet with a dealer. You're going to talk to them about how the media partner that they're working with is performing, how they can optimize that media, and how they are able to see the results of the dollars that they're putting out there. So we're able to use the Domo platform to bring things together quite clearly. Dealers are able to see the total number of leads that are driven, what they're paying for each of those leads, how many sales that is equating to, and what their overall investment is. We're able to look at that and trend that over time so they can see what their cost per lead is, what value they're bringing back, understand the leads driven by the different channels. So we can see, search being one of the major drivers there, display and social also contributing, able to see what that cost per lead is across the different channel, how those are trending up and down over time. So now we're taking the results of those attribution models, we're bringing that all together. So now as we're looking at this, it's very different than kind of that standard advertiser media that Tom was talking about before. Because if you're only able to view one channel, you're going to give all credit to the channel. Here, with all of this running in the background, now every Domo user that's looking at this is able to see the number of leads that are driven by channel, and that's additive across the channels. There's no double counting as we look at what our search provider is doing versus what our social provider is doing. We're able to bring that all together into one unified platform so that everyone is looking at the same data and they're able to see how well it's performing. From there, if users want to drill down to look at one of the channels specifically, so let's say they want it to look at their display ads, they're able to see based off all of the different dimensions of how they classify those display ads. So be it based on what product was showcased in there, whether it was focused around service, new sales, they're able to see how each of those placements are performing. They're able to track that over time, understand what the cost per lead is, what that cost per click is, and how that is working for them and how that is trending. When we spoke about search, that's where now we can go and look at it at a very tactical level to understand what the top keywords are, how those are looking, understand based on that keyword performance and the different classifications that we have there. So is this a generic term focused around Ford? Is this a term that is specific to my location? Is this a term that's focused around a discount, incentives, a used vehicle? We're able to break that down to all of those different aspects so they can filter down and look at things from there. One of the other keys that Ford Direct has is the ability to bring together not only that media data with the sales data, but also with the website data. And that's one of the key things that Tom spoke about earlier, and we really saw it was valuable as we went through things. So if we think about a consumer that's going through, we're able to understand their different path. We can see how many leads were associated with consumers that went through that path, how many sales they had, how many of those sales converted to leads. And one of the interesting things that came out about this was that if we look at, say, the impact of a display ad on a user's journey, it has a certain amount of impact that it's going to increase their likelihood to purchase a vehicle. But if a consumer clicked through that ad, went to the website, and then looked at the vehicle detail page view for any specific vehicle, we see that any ad that they see after that is essentially recharged by that behavior. So it has a higher impact on their likelihood to purchase. This is something that we've seen people use to employ in programmatic media to create programmable splits that will allow them to serve different ads based on where consumers are in their journey. It's something that we've seen other organizations use as part of their CRM targeting. So after certain media exposure and after certain activities, they're able to actually use that to trigger emails to consumers within their database. Thinking about the Ford Direct example for service customers, let's say, they're able to combine the impact that they're seeing across the media, any leads that they've submitted with what they've done on the website to really create customizable communications. Where this all really comes together, in my opinion, is in the investment optimizer view. Thinking again about that Ford Direct field team member that's going to go out, and let's say they are going to meet with the owner of the airport auto dealership. What they are able to see then is by selecting that dealer's name, they are able to get a quick snapshot to understand of those leads that are submitted, how many of those are turning into sales? How does that differ across leads that are submitted on the dealer's website versus those that may be a click to call and coming in through the phone? And so as they see this, we populate the optimizer with the average monthly expectations for that dealer. So as we look across this here, it is automatically populated with their average monthly search spend, their average monthly display and social spend. From that, we can tell them the expected number of leads that they would generate, the expected number of sales coming from those leads, and what that cost per lead is. So this takes all of that Mars modeling that we talked about, and all of that developed and deployed within Domo is happening in the background. So as that field member comes through to have that conversation, they're able to simply select that dealer's name, and then that will populate with that information. At the same time, they are able to take a look and understand how that dealer is spending to other dealers within their category. So by looking and seeing the diminishing return curves across the different channels, so seeing where they may fall with their display spend and whether that is kind of on the low end where they haven't reached that breakthrough point yet, whether they are in the healthy part of that curve or if they've reached diminishing returns and saturation. And they're able to see that across the different channels to give a perspective on where other dealers in their same segment, so similar size of dealerships, similar media costs within their markets, seeing how they're spending relative to that. And then actually using something as simple as a beast mode calculation and tying that into the coefficients from the model, we were able to create natural language generation that shows what that dealer's typical spend level is, whether or not they've reached kind of the breakthrough point, whether they've reached a point of diminishing return, or whether they should spend more. So we can see here for the display spend, they haven't quite reached that breakthrough point, so they should consider a higher investment level for that channel. And that is where we take that information and we take the same spend that that dealer has across those channels, and we look at that total amount. So we can see that this dealer is spending on average just over a little bit over $10,000 per month. So then when we look at the optimizer, what we see is that same dealer's $10,000 spend, we're able to take that and then reallocate it across the channels in order to get the optimal response. So by looking at all these channels simultaneously, understanding where dealers lie in respect to the efficiency that they're getting, the marginal return, they're able to take that same $10,000 spend and split it across the different channels and ultimately drive 3 more sales and a couple hundred more leads by reallocating that spend. But if a dealer were to look at this, and as that field representative from Ford Direct is having that conversation, and the dealer says, I am never going to drop my spend down below $6,000 a month. I'm spending $9,000. The lowest I would drop it would be to $7,000. Then the optimizer and the sliders here allow us, by using this custom app that was deployed in Domo with JavaScript, we're able to then take that, start to allocate the spend that we see across the channels there to understand, what that dealer may be getting and what they may be comfortable with spending. And while they may not reach those 9 sales that we would see here, we could maybe get them to a comfortable point where they would go up from those 6 sales to those 8 sales and see how things work there. And then if dealers were considering increasing their spend by, say, another $3,000 a month, we can then enter $13,000, hit optimize, and see where that falls across the channels. So this type of tool is what really brings together all of the modeling and all of kind of those concepts that Domo helps us deploy through the Jupyter workspaces and the scripting tiles, and then bring it into something that really helps impact how the users can actionalize this data, how they can make decisions off of it. And so with that, I'm going to turn things back over to Tom, who is going to talk a little bit about the results that we saw from this pilot and some of the optimizations that were made.
So the results of the pilot are very encouraging so far. The date range is about a 12-month period with roughly 100 dealers. The media response data that we were looking at from the customers were a variety of metrics from search, social, and display, along with a host of website metrics as well. The primary factors that we're using as the independent variables in the model was the average monthly spend by channel. And our primary outcome variables, or the dependent variables, was the average monthly lead volume and sales. If we were to have had the model in place at the beginning of the pilot and we were to optimize the spend mix, we basically would have seen a 10% increase in leads and sales, which is a very nice business value return. But the model also told us is that we could conservatively and safely spend an additional 20% in overall monthly spend per dealer which would have increased leads and sales by almost 50%. So quite a jump in performance from just that 20% increase in spend. So the bottom line is that optimizing both the mix of channel media spend and the total program spend drives significant improvement in leads and sales and overall business value. So we're very encouraged so far. Once again, this is Tom Thomas, Vice President of Data Strategy, Analytics, and Business Intelligence at ForDirect. And on behalf of my partners at RXA, Heather Reed and Jonathan Prantner, we'd like to thank you all for joining us today in this workshop and wish you the best of luck in your digital marketing, multi-touch attribution, and media mix modeling endeavors. Thank you and have a great day.